Okay, so we're live on the air, so hopefully everything goes well. Make sure our screen is shared, yeah. Okay, so thanks, Jin, for starting today's session. I want to give you 30 minutes on how to go through presentation skills. Actually, when we designed Orbital, we were trying to answer what industry told us, okay, and it was this. It said, you know, your students at NUS are really smart. They can code really well. They understand the computer well, but they don't understand people really well. They can't relate and they can't present to save their life. Okay, so part of the reason why we asked you to do Orbital is to help you ignite your own passion for learning in a self-directed way, just that you're doing it with everyone else in the room at the same time in different locations, and to give you a chance to learn how to present. And this is very, very important if you want to succeed, is because we interact with people on a daily basis. So in Orbital, you have two very important components. One is today and yesterday, which is liftoff, which is getting ready to understand how to do your project development. And part of that is ignition. So ignition, Jin had already alluded to. It's just 1 minute where you have to come on stage, present your work. We will be screencasting to YouTube just like I'm doing now, your slides. Okay, so you just have to give a narration. We need both people to come up and talk. So even if you just come up and say, hi, my name is X, now my partner is going to do all the work. Fine too, but we want you to actually come on stage and get familiar with it, okay? The second part is in splashdown, okay? That sounds pretty far away, it's 3 months away, but basically that the time is also for you to present and practice your skills at disseminating what you've done, because you're enthusiastic about what you did over the summer. Okay, so these are slides from Google. They came about 2 years ago to give this talk, and now I've taken over that duty. And so basically, when you are doing a pitch of any sort, whether you're doing it one-on-one or when I'm doing it with you now, what I'm trying to do is communicate some content. All right, but the content is actually the smallest part of what I want to transmit. It is the body language, it's the eye contact, it's how I talk, that is going to convey this information. And if you just don't have that, well, it'll be turned off, right? Basically, you're going to say, well, I can get it somewhere else. I can just learn it from somewhere. And that moment or that opportunity to reinforce a message is lost. Okay, so we're going to analyze in the next 20 minutes or so some key parts of what you need to do later today. Okay, everyone knows this laptop. A lot of us have this device, overpriced laptop. Okay, but what we want to do now is analyze when this laptop first came out. What did Steve Jobs do to connect this laptop to everyone else's understanding? Okay, because a big deal. Maybe you don't remember, but it's important to analyze that. So I would like you to put in the back of your mind, okay? Watch this. This is from his keynote in San Francisco in 2008 when he introduced the MacBook Air. What is he doing that makes you pay attention? What is he doing that makes you want to buy this product other than the expensive price? Okay, well, that's not very good. I don't have sound. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to try to play it without the sound, if I can get it to work. Oh, the sound's up. Okay.
These are the standards in the industry by which competitive products are judged. Well, today, we're introducing a third kind of notebook. It's called the MacBook Air. Now, what is the MacBook Air? In a sentence, It's the world's thinnest notebook. So, what does that mean? Well, we went out and looked at all the thin notebooks out there. Most people think of these, the Sony TZ series. They're good notebooks, and they're thin. Right, this is what they look like. Side view there. We looked at all of them out there and kind of tried to distill the best of the breed of all of them. And, you know, they generally weigh about 3 pounds. They're, in this case, in the Sony's case, they're about 0.8 inches to 1.2 inches thin. They're wedge shaped. It's quite representative. They compromise, though, to get the weight down on things like the display. They have an 11 or 12-inch display, most of them an 11. They also compromise on the keyboard. Instead of putting full-size keyboards in, they make miniature keyboards. And they don't run them as fast as they could because their thermal envelopes don't support faster processors. So we looked at this and we said, what do we like and what do we think is a compromise here? We think the weight's a good target, 3 pounds. But we think there's too much compromising to get there. Too much compromising on thickness, too much compromising on less than a full-size display, less than a full-size keyboard, and we think you could put even more performance in one of these products. So, thinness first. This is that Sony product. Again, one of the best in the field. 1.2 inches down to 0.8 inches. This is the MacBook Air. .76 inches down to an unprecedented 0.16 inches. Now I want to point something out here. The thickest part of the MacBook Air is still thinner than the thinnest part of the TZ series. Okay? We're talking thin here. So, it's so thin it even fits inside one of these envelopes that we've all seen floating around the office. And so let me go ahead and show it to you now. This is it. Let me take it out here. This is the new MacBook Air, and you can get a feel for how thin it is. Yeah, there it is.
Okay, so while we're watching the video, I would like you to think about, what did he do? Okay. What did he do that made this presentation a key success? You know, MacBook Air sales went through the roof. Why did it work so well? I mean, he's doing pretty much what you will have to do this afternoon in an extended format. He's selling a product. Why was it so successful? So I'm looking for volunteers. I don't have any swag, sorry. But you'll get them later today for ignition, but that's all right. So can anyone raise their hand and just give me a shout out or just say something? Miss?
He compared it to the best in the market, showed his perspective.
He compared it to the best in the market, right? So how did he do that? We want to do that when we do pitches, when we want to do sales. We want to say, I have a product that's somehow much better than what's out there. Okay. I'm gonna try to put my pitches into it. Oops, okay. So what did he do in specific? That's exactly right, but how did he do it? A better thing than dumb. He did it in a very specific manner. He compared it to Sony's TZ series, but how did he do it? Sir?
Pictures with the comparison in terms of the size.
Right. So he had a very simple pictorial. Do you see how simple that infographic was? It was just 2 polygons, right, with a couple numbers there. He reduced it to the absolute minimum detail, so there wouldn't be any distractions on the slide, right? Okay. So he actually presented it very sort of subtly at first, and then when he reversed the MacBook Air to the other side, he was able to make another statement to say that the thickest part was still thinner than the thinnest part of the other laptop, right? Okay, what else? He had one other device with him that helped show how thin this particular laptop was. Sir? Sorry, I'm not, I obviously didn't get much sleep either, but never mind. Okay, somebody in the back so I can really toss it. Anyone else remember one other thing that he did? Sir, yes?
Use an envelope to show it.
Okay, he got the rapport with the audience by relating it to some everyday object that we all use, right? We use envelopes, we see it every day. We know how thin that object is, so it doesn't take a lot of imagination for us to imagine how thin that laptop is, right? So he's relating it to something that is in our environment every day and connecting it well, okay. Okay, that was slightly off, but good. All right, so this is what we're looking for when you actually do your elevator pitch, when you do communication, is you want to establish rapport with your audience, right? So we talked about this part about engagement, but to engage your audience by connecting with them, all right? Lecturers are horrible at that. Don't use university lecturers as a role model. We suck, okay? But, you know, people who have to do this for a living actually do it pretty well. So what we want to do is be able to present like a professional, and we need to tell a story around what we want to say, even if it's just for 1 minute when we come on stage, okay? And later when you make your videos for your milestones, when you make your 3-minute and 5-minute videos, you still have to gain rapport with your audience before you tell them what you've done over the last sprint. Okay, so there are 4 elements that you can remember with P's that help us understand what we need to do. Okay. Okay. The first is power. Okay, being able to present, have confidence, push your voice to the envelope. Okay, make sure that you're delivering your message with power. The second is actually pitch. Pitch your message. Sell what you want to sell. Okay. Pace yourself. Don't like just run through all of your words. This is what happens when you don't practice. Typically, when students present, they think they're going to take 5 minutes, but when they come on stage, because they're nervous, they present in like 3 minutes flat, right? And then when you rewind and you watch your presentation, you find out you never paused, right? So the last element is pausing, right? Pausing, taking the time to reflect. In fact, when we pause, we get the audience to pay attention. How many of you have been to a lecture where the lecturer asks a question and then they give you like 2 seconds to think about it and then they say, oh, well, no one's going to answer, I'll tell you the answer. That happens all the time because lecturers are also not patient, right? Because they have so much material to go through. But really, if you want good engagement, many times you have to pause. You have to let that information resonate with your audience. They're hearing it for the first time. You've rehearsed it many times. If you don't pause, that information cannot go all the way through, right? Because there's more information coming in. So those are the 4 P's, okay? Very easy to remember. Power, pitch, pace, and pausing. I'd say all of these parts are important. These are about the vocal qualities of what you want to say. Okay, what you want to say and transmit. How important is what you want to say to conveying the message of the content you want to deliver? Do you think it's 50% of what you need to do? 70%? Anyone want to take a guess? We got a couple more of these guys. Just yell out a number. Somebody with their hands up. This isn't easy. How much of your presentation is due to your message from your voice? Sorry? Half. Okay. Wow, you're getting better. Waking up. Let's find out. Well, part of it is also in body language, right? When you come to the stage, when you watch a speaker, what they do with their hands, their arms, and how they walk around on stage, that's also very critical, right? And so you may not think about that. Even when you go back to Steve Jobs' presentation, what did he do? Right? It didn't seem like he did a lot. And that was the whole point, right? He didn't want it to distract away from what he wanted to show. When he paced on stage deliberately to the other side, to the cocktail table to grab that envelope, and he picked up the envelope, he showed it to you, and he slowly unboxed it, whatever you want to call unopening the envelope, right? Opening the envelope. Okay? He did that with a purpose, right? To create some anticipation, to give you some time to think about the analogy that he gave you, right? So body language comes in very different flavors too. And we can think of all of these elements, but they flow seamlessly together as a unit when you can present well, okay? So when you practice, you also have to think about how to do this and reflect upon that presentation. Use your hands, okay? If you happen to fidget a lot, then maybe you want to put them at your side. Don't ever put them in your pocket. This is a very bad thing. You know, people fiddle with change in their wallet, and then nobody is focusing on you. They're focusing on what's in your wallet, all the noise that your keys are making, etc. That's not a good thing. You know, if you can't control your hands, put them behind, or just put them to the side. Consciously put them at the side. Okay, if you happen to be a dynamic speaker who likes to use their hands, that's fine. You can gesture, but don't, you know, do all this stuff, right? Because that's also quite distracting, unless it's your style. You can make it your style, okay? Do you use eye contact, right? So try to make contact with people in the audience, look at people directly, pause for 2 or 3 seconds, move your eyes around so that it's clear that you're trying to establish rapport, right? Connect with someone to the point where, like, I'm looking at them so much that they start to look down or look away, okay? That's also a good sign that they're actually looking at you because the message is coming across, okay? And exhibit confidence. This is hard to do until you practice, okay? Once you practice enough, then you will be good at this. Myself, when I was in secondary school, the subject that I hated the most was oral communication, you know, standing up and giving book reports. I sucked horribly at that, and I still do, okay? But it comes with practice that you're able to deliver speech as well, okay? So this is one very important objective of the Orbital program, is to give you enough chances to practice that, okay? Maybe it doesn't come live on stage that often, but even when you do your video presentation, you have to think about how you're pitching your voice. Okay, so I asked all of you earlier, and the gentleman in the front answered, how much of it is due to your voice, okay? Actually, yeah, less than half, all right? The words that we're trying to transmit actually don't serve a lot of purpose, okay? They're just here to enforce the message that we have, but it's the tone of your voice, it's the body language that's going to transmit most of what we need to do. Okay, so we've already touched upon the other 4 P's: preparation, practice, present, and process, right? Presenting means presenting to your partner, presenting to other teams around you. Hey, do you mind if I just try this out on you for a couple seconds? Don't just look at the slides, okay? Practice your pitch from beginning to end. It's only a minute long anyways. What you can do is refine it a couple times, even over just today by in the afternoon, and analyze, reflect upon your performance. Okay, there are a lot of ways of doing presentation, and you saw in Steve Jobs' presentation, he did this too, right? He used the metaphor of the vanilla envelope that we see in the inter-office, okay, to transmit why this laptop was so thin. If you watch the rest of the keynote, he also made sure that his points reinforced the message that he wanted. At the beginning, he told you, you know, that he doesn't want to compromise on the display, all of these, the keyboard and I think the processing power. Those are just the most important points of what he wanted to transmit. You know, the Air had many innovations, but he just distilled it to 3 things that he wanted to transmit. And he picked the only thing that was the most dramatic, which was the size, right, the thinness, to transmit. Okay, don't say things from the other things that people often do, which I don't hope you find this too boring. Sorry, I didn't have time to prepare. These are time wasters. They won't help you get your point across. So practice enough that you try to eliminate these types of things that people often do when they hedge. Okay, so what you actually need to do during ignition is this. You have to create an elevator pitch. Do you know what the elevator pitch meaning comes from? Yes, some of you? Can I have a show of hands? Just high up in the air. I'm not going to call on anyone. Who knows what an elevator pitch means? Okay, we're going to see very shortly what it means in the video. But basically, what we want to say is that if you got into the elevator with someone, you only had a minute to convince them about your product, what would you say? Okay, and there's a formula for this. And it's the exact same one that Steve Jobs used. He says, in one sentence, this is the MacBook Air, the world's thinnest laptop, right? So in one sentence, this is what we want to do. We want to say, what is this product or solution that I am building in Orbital over my summer? I am spending 3 months. What is it good for? For who? Who has a certain need, right? It's going to fix what part of that need? And how is it different from the competitor, all right? So when you look at Steve Jobs' keynote, he did exactly that using those types of devices, okay? So your job this morning is, in addition to crafting your slide with your partner, is to come up with an elevator pitch. You don't have to give it exactly as one sentence. You don't have to give it exactly in this one format. So that only takes 10 seconds, but try to involve it into your 1-minute presentation.
Hey guys, Michael Hyatt here from PlatformUniversity.com, and I want to talk about how to create an elevator pitch. Now, you know you need one. You've heard of this before, but essentially, it's a short pitch on what your product, your service, your brand, or your cause is all about. You want to be able to get this really succinct so that you can get your message across when you need it. Now, there's 3 benefits for having the right elevator pitch. Number 1 is it forces you to achieve clarity yourself. I can't tell you how many times people have come to me with some discombobulated, messy elevator pitch. They didn't even know what they were asking for, and it didn't serve them, and it wasted my time, and you don't want that. So an elevator pitch that's finely tuned forces you to get the clarity you need to sell your idea. Second reason is that it helps you understand your customer's perspective. When you try to get it tight and get a pitch that really communicates the essence of what you're trying to communicate, it forces you to get into the customer's head. What are their needs? What are their questions? What are their problems that you need to solve? So getting into their perspective is critically important. Third benefit to having an elevator pitch is that it enables you or gives you a tool to enroll the strategic partners you need to succeed. The truth is, if you've got an idea that's worth pursuing, you need help. You can't do it all yourself. You're going to have to enroll a lot of people in the process. An elevator pitch helps you get that idea across in a succinct, compelling way. And maybe, by the way, you're wondering where this whole idea of an elevator pitch came from. Well, the idea was that you're standing in an elevator with somebody important, you have this enormous opportunity, and you only have a few floors as the elevator is going up, and to get it across and to get the buy-in.
Michael Hyatt,
Yeah.
big fan of yours, really big fan. Listen, I've got an idea for a movie. Well, actually, it'll start with a book, but then we can make a movie out of it. It's about music. I mean, it's everybody loves music, right? This is a story that's going to touch your heart, touch your soul. It's going to touch all over your body. It's going to be really, really great.
This is my floor. I gotta go. Can you believe that guy? He totally blew it. He had something that was obviously very important to him, but he couldn't make the case in a way that was clear or compelling. I want to teach you the 4 components of an elevator pitch so that you can connect and get your point across. Number 1, you've got to state the product and the category. Keep it simple, but make it clear. Number 2, you've got to describe the problem you're trying to solve. Number 3, you've got to focus on your proposed solution. And number 4, you've got to state the key benefit of your proposed solution. If you do that, if you nail all 4 components, you have a much better chance of a successful pitch.
Michael Hyatt,
Yeah.
big fan of yours.
Awesome.
Listen, I'm writing a book. It's an inspirational book. It's called Cloudburst. It's about a young, talented musician, and he dreams of conducting symphonies. The only thing is, he can't read music. And because of this, no one in the music business will give him a break. But because of his hard work, his honesty, and his determination, he succeeds.
That could work.
Really?
I like it. Let's be in touch.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hey, if you want to learn how to grow your audience or increase your influence, join it.
Okay, so that's what we're going to do. You're going to do this over the next couple of hours while you're working on your technical sessions. Just sit with your partner, try to craft your ignition slide, practice, take 5 minutes to write your pitch. What is your one-line statement that you're going to say? Present it to the person sitting next to you and observe and give feedback. Okay, so I want to give you a couple other things about ignition before we end for today. Okay, this was Jin's earlier slide. For those of you who came in late, you have to submit your slide for ignition by latest 2:30 in the afternoon. There's URLs on the slides where you have to put it, and there'll be information in Slack. Okay, now your alumni have been here all throughout this program in various guises. For example, as mentors, if you were here last night, but they also have their artifacts preserved on YouTube. So if you do a simple search of NUS Orbital ignition on whatever mobile device you have, then you can go and see what other people have presented. Now, your ignition presentation also subs as your Milestone 1 video in case you don't have the time to do a new one, okay? So whatever work that you put in today to do your Milestone video, will carry over to Milestone 1. When you do that, just make sure you use the right time offset to jump to the correct timing. So for example here, this presentation is already halfway through this particular video that we took last year, I think here in the ignition in the hangar, in I3 auditorium right here. Okay, so you can do that. You can watch a couple of them, and then you'll be all set. Okay, so that's it for me. I hope you have some idea about what to do for your elevator pitch and your session this afternoon, and we'll see you soon, either here or on the other side.